Hello again, everyone. So one thing that we've been focusing on right now is building the visuals and the environments for our game. We haven't talked about actually making our game playable. So we're going to do that right now. Eventually, we'll build up to the point where we're writing our own scripts and behavior for the game so that we can do custom interactions with our game. Today, however, we're going to leverage some built-in controllers in Unity. So what we're going to add today is something called a character controller. And to be able to add a character controller, we're going to go to Assets, Import Package, and we are going to import characters. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us a couple of different character controllers that we can add, but the one that we care about today is the first-person shooter or FPS controller. The reason we're going to use an FPS controller is because an FPS controller doesn't require that we have a character model, right? When we look at most FPS games, you see from the point of view of the character, you don't see the character themselves. So we also have a way to do what's called a rigid body controller, but a rigid body controller requires that we actually have a character model that we're working with. So we're just going to use the first-person shooter or FPS controller for now. So now if we take a look at our standard assets, it has added a folder called characters. Now what we want to do is go into our characters folder and locate under first person, we want under prefabs, we want to locate the first person controller or FPS controller. This is going to allow us to do common FPS stuff in our games. I'm going to drag this into my view. And you'll notice, and I'm going to raise it up just a little bit because I want to make sure he's above the ground. You'll notice that the FPS controller has a whole bunch of stuff going on with it. And if I go in the inspector, there's a ton of stuff happening here. So the first-person controller already has a lot of built-in characteristics. There's a few key things that we need to understand about the first-person controller. The first one is that it produces sound. That's why this little speaker symbol is here. Second is that it acts as a camera. See how there's a camera symbol here and we have a viewpoint here? That camera system is going to conflict with our existing camera system. So now that we have our character controller added to the scene, we don't really need the main camera anymore. All we need to, so if we want, we can just remove the main camera because we are going to only look at things from the point of view of the character. I'm going to delete the main camera, and we've got our character first-person controller in here. When we take a look at our first-person controller, most of these things are going to ignore for now. We're going to learn about scripts, rigid bodies, and audio later on in the course. But for right now, let's take a look at the character controller options. The one that I want to look at specifically is an option called Slope Limit. Slope Limit is controls how steep of a slope we can climb. So this is saying our slope can be, any slope greater than 45 means that we cannot climb it. Okay? And that'll be a good thing to keep in mind as we work on projects of our own. But if we go ahead and play the game, here we are in our game, and some things are happening automatically. First of all, I've got some sound effects, right? They've added the footsteps sound effects. Also, you'll notice I am very tall compared to these other trees, right? This environment that I've made here is incredibly small. We have a couple of ways of controlling that. Either we can go build a bigger environment, right? Which may make more sense because I can walk from one end of this map to the other in a matter of a few seconds. Or, oh, you can see I'm getting a little bit of gameplay lag right now from the water. Or, if we stop this, I could change the height or width of, or radius of my controller. So the height means that I have a 1.8 units of height right now. That's how tall my collision box is. And the radius is how far my collision box extends outward from me. So we can play with these values if we find that we're able to get too close to objects, or if it seems like we're too high above the ground, we can mess with these values. Another value to keep in mind is step offset. What this means is that any step that is closer to the ground than the specified value. So any rise in terrain that is less than 0.3 units will automatically climb over. And anything higher than 0.3 units, we won't be able to climb. So that's one of the collision options for the character controller. Right now, we're basically just dealing with character controllers out of the box, we're not worried about modifying a lot of stuff, because later on, as we go through the course, as we learn about scripting and as we learn about character controllers and rigid body physics, we'll be able to add a lot more customized functionality to the game. But if we're just making, an open world sandbox type game, or if we're building our environment and we just want to test out the environment, this is a really great way to quickly get inside our environments and test them out. So this is a pretty quick video. I just wanted to show that this first-person controller is here. It's built into the game so that we have a quick way of testing out our environments. Thanks for watching.